In this video, I'm going to be covering the Vancouver Canucks' last 4 games, including the return of JT Miller in yesterday's battle against the New York Rangers. But first, let's talk about Game 8 against the Nashville Predators. Brock Boeser was back in the lineup after missing the last 2 games to mourn the loss of his dog Cooley. Shout out Cooley real quick. Vancouver was solid defensively in this one. At 5-on-5, they were getting help from everybody, but it was Tyler Myers that really stood out to me. Remember when Canucks fans hated this guy? The nickname Chaos Giraffe doesn't really work anymore. We're gonna have to come up with a new one. Leave your ideas in the comments below. Both PDs were blocking shots, especially D PD. He was munching pucks and crunching fucks. Evander Kane was throwing body too. The Predators earned 3 power plays in this one, but thanks to the work of guys like Elias Pettersson and Kiefer Sherwood, they couldn't capitalize on any of them. In fact, the Canucks were outchancing them despite being shorthanded. However, on the flip side, penalties drawn by Kane, Boeser, Hughes, Shea, and Petey gave the Canucks 5 power plays of their own, including a brief 2-man advantage, but not only did they fail to score on all 5 of those chances, they gave up a shorthanded goal. Brutal. 1-0 Nashville. Thankfully, the Calder Cup connection came in clutch for the Canucks a few clicks later, but let me break this down because it was beautiful. Just moments before the goal, the Canucks were hemmed in their own end, desperate for a line change. Sportsnet put up the shift time graphic, so you know it was getting serious. A block by DPD gave Linus Karlsson a brief chance to clear the puck, and he did, but only barely. He bought enough time for Ratu to get to the bench and be replaced by Max Sasson, but he didn't get it deep enough for a full line change, and the Preds were able to keep the pressure on. This went on for about 15 more seconds, but by that point, Linus Karlsson had had enough. He pounced on the Preds puck carrier, knocked him down, shrugged off another check, picked up the puck, looked up the ice, and fired it to his buddy Max Sasson. And Max took it from there. First of all, look how he took this pass. In one motion, he goes from this position, facing the wrong way, puck on his backhand, defender closing in on him, to this position, breaking in on a breakaway, puck on his forehand, defender eating his dust. It doesn't stop there though. Now he's got to score, and he's facing one of the best goalies in the league in UC Saros. So what's he do? He snaps it 5-hole before Saros could even process what was happening. The puck was on Sasson's stick for a total of 0.7 seconds. Trust me, I counted. It's plays like this that make me believe he's more than just a 4th-line AHL call-up. But as pretty as that goal was, no Canuck was prettier than the guy standing in between the pipes, Thatcher Demko. If the Canucks don't start scoring more goals, I'm gonna have to change the name of this channel to Demko Head or something, because the majority of the highlights so far this season are just him doing stuff like this. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. I love watching Demko dominate, but I like goals too. And unfortunately, the Canucks only scored 1 in this game. Demmer was only able to stop 33 of the 35 shots he faced. The Canucks lost 2-1. Now, on to Game 9 against the Montreal Canadiens. The Canucks have more players injured right now than any other team in the NHL, and as much as I love Max Sasson, slotting him in as their second-line center is pretty risky. So, the day before this game, Vancouver acquired 23-year-old center and former first-round pick Lukas Reichel from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for a 2027 4th-round pick. I really like this trade. I know Reichel isn't a bona fide second-line center, but he does give the team more options down the middle on a game-to-game basis, which will definitely be helpful. I also like the move because the upside here is undeniable and the risk is basically non-existent. For the first time in Reichel's young career, he's going to be given an important role on a team that has visions of the playoffs, so if this kid is going to be something good and live up to his 17th overall selection at the 2020 NHL Draft, we're about to find out, and that's exciting. Also, I should mention that Reichel's got some pretty interesting connections to the team already. First, moments after he was drafted by Chicago back in 2020, he was asked which NHL player he models his game after, and this was his answer.
Maybe like Elias Pettersson, because I'm not the biggest guy, not the strongest guy on the ice, but I'm a smart guy, I'm a good skater, I like to shoot, and yeah, that's my game style. And
second, remember this save? For the non-unks watching, this is Canuck legend Kirk McLean in 1994 making what is widely considered to be the best save in franchise history. And it's not just because the stop itself was incredible, it's because he made it in overtime of Game 7 against the Calgary Flames. We call it the save. Anyway, the guy who shot the puck was Lukas Reichel's uncle. Weird, right? Reichel suited up for this game against the Habs, even though he hadn't had any practice time with the team. In fact, he probably didn't even meet any of the guys until he walked into the dressing room a few hours before puck drop. So I'm not going to analyze his play too much in this one. He looked fast though. In other news, Elias Pettersson is back. Yeah, you heard it here first. Petey the Alien is dangling, dancing, making good defensive plays, blocking shots, looking dangerous offensively, setting up goals, scoring goals, crushing guys. Yeah, he had 3 points in this game, which is why it's such a shame that the Canucks lost 4-3. Now, I saw some people blaming Kevin Lankinen for this loss, and I don't really agree. The Canucks were 1 for 3 on the penalty kill in this one, and that's where I place the blame. Vancouver has some key penalty killers out of the lineup right now, and it's clearly taking a toll. Let's move on to Game 10 against the 47th best defenseman in the league, Evan Bouchard and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I'm going to say this calmly. Due to an undisclosed lower body injury, Quinn Hughes did not play in this game. Okay? Everyone cool? Let's continue. Brock Besser opened the scoring late in the first period thanks to a wonderful pass from Evander Kane, 1-0 Canucks. Quick note about Kane, I understand a lot of fans are pretty unimpressed with him so far this year, and honestly, I don't blame anyone for feeling that way. The guy's put up a goose egg in the goal category through his first 11 games as a Canuck, and I don't like that. But I will say, he seems to be improving on a nightly basis. For those calling him washed and saying he's past his prime, I hear you, but I don't agree with you. At least not yet. I'm going to wait until at least the quarter mark of the season before I jump to any conclusions. I thought he looked pretty good against his former team. You know who else looked good? Elias Pettersson! He looks confident, he's making plays, he's setting up scoring chances, he's winning face-offs, he's blocking shots, he's making great defensive plays, he's scoring goals. It's no wonder the crowd was chanting for him.
Went short-handed, the Let's Go Petey chant just sprung up here at Rogers Arena.
2-0 Canucks. Victor Mancini was in the lineup for this one, and man did he play well. He stood out big time for me. He looked so solid in his own end, confident in his decision-making. Really promising stuff from the Italian stallion. Unfortunately, thanks to the curse placed on the Canucks prior to the season starting, Mancini left this game with an injury and didn't return. Lukas Reichel was extremely noticeable in this game. He had, 9 billion chances to score his first as a Canuck. Seriously, it's kind of mind-blowing that he didn't score, or at least get a point. Regardless, Reichel looking dangerous is great news for Canucks fans. He also won 62% of the faceoffs he took, so I'm happy with him so far. O'Connor hit the post, Sherwood hit the mesh, but it didn't count because the play was offside, so Sherwood came back out and scored a goal so beautiful I started crying. Kiefer the Beefer Chief Keef Sherwood is turning into a superstar. What a player, man, seriously. 3-1 Canucks. Also, I'm choosing not to show any of Edmonton's goals in this recap because none of them mattered. They were all so pointless and so stupid, I simply don't care about them. I didn't even care when they happened. The puck would go in and I'd think,
that's funny, the Oilers are actually trying for some reason? It's almost as if they think they actually have a chance of winning? No, that can't be it.
Anyway, the Canucks let this one slide into overtime just so Besser and Sherwood could team up to score the game-winning goal. Vancouver won 4-3. Okay, now, let's talk about Game 11 against the New York Rangers, former Canuck JT Miller's first time back in Vancouver since the trade. The question coming into this one was whether or not the Rogers Arena crowd would boo or cheer for him, and well, they did both. You'd hear a loud rain of boos almost every time he touched the puck, but they also gave him a standing ovation during a TV timeout, so it was perfect. Time to move on. With Victor Mancini, Quinn Hughes, and Derek Forbort all out of the lineup with injuries, rookie defender Tom Willander was called up from Abbotsford to play in his first ever NHL game, and honestly, he looked great. He was making simple but necessary plays on the defensive side of the ice, and offensively, he wasn't afraid to throw pucks at the net and create chances. His skating really stood out to me as well. He didn't do anything that made me want to bake a cake, but he didn't have to. He looked calm, cool, and collected, which is pretty impressive for a 20-year-old playing in his first game. I like him. Now, let's count how many scoring chances Lukas Reichel earned in this game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome! He didn't score though. Petey dumped a guy, crowd chanted his name again.
Now chance for Pettersson.
He also had a decent chance to score, but couldn't bury it. Filip Hronek had another great game. I should have mentioned this before, he's really stepped up in the absence of Quinn Hughes. Connor Garland took a late hit from Sam Carrick, so MP3 dropped the gloves and ate a few in Gargoyle's honor. You love to see it. However, Garland left the game with an injury and didn't return, so I ate a few of my own in frustration. Sounds like he's okay though, so that's good. Now, let's count how many ass-saving stops Demko had to make in this one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool! Now, let's count how many goals Demko's teammates scored in this one. Canucks lost 1-0 plus an empty netter, so 2-0. Shout out to this one genius for predicting the score of Game 10 correctly. Comment your score predictions for the next 4 Canucks games down below. If you get any right, I'll shout you out in the next video. Thanks to these sick individuals for becoming channel members. If you want to be like them and help support the channel, just click the join button. Click the video on the screen right now to keep watching my content. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.